Welcome back to the Dragon Ball Daima pod on Nerdy Jock Media, where every week we watch an episode of Dragon Ball Daima as it comes out, and then we come right here and record an episode.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to everybody subscribing YouTube. Please make sure you follow us on all of our social media.
Smash that button.
TikTok, X, Instagram, Snapchat. We're not on Snapchat.
We're not on Snapchat, but we are all over social media. So make sure to follow us if you haven't subscribed or liked on all of our social media platforms. As
Right,
well.
because we're coming every week with a brand new episode talking about a brand new episode of Daima. This week, we're talking about the episode for Chatty.
Chatty.
That's right.
Now, was it a very chatty episode, or was it more of a action-packed episode, or more of a JRPG episode?
Well, okay, so we're going right into that. I made a reference last week about how Dragon Ball Daima feels like a tabletop game that Akira Toriyama played with Toei, but it does feel much more like a JRPG, specifically this episode.
Absolutely.
Random encounters. We're going to the restaurant. We're going to the inn.
Going to the restaurant. Going to the inn.
We're going to barter for a means of travel.
Yep.
We're going to purchase multiple like potion-esque things.
Power-ups.
That have like status healing effects across like the board. Like I even made a joke when we were watching, like, oh, is there a bug that cures zombie or a bug that cures petrify?
Not those, but there is a bug that does make you have a fusion bug. So
exactly. So we might see a new fusion.
That's what I'm excited to see. Always we do side tangents here, so we're going to get back in the JRPG in a second, but if there's a fusion here that doesn't have to be equally matched, like I'd like to see some weird stuff like you see in the games where it's like, oh, we can see a Piccolo fuse with a Gohan or, something like that. Just something that they're non-compatible people, fusing in a compatible world in 2024.
Right.
Like, let's see some weird stuff, man. I'm down.
No, but you're absolutely right, Kevin. Like watching this episode in particular, it feels like you're watching a friend play a JRPG.
Exactly.
You're just reading dialogue, you're world building stuff, whatever. Like it is just that kind of adventure. Right. And I even made a joke early in the episode. It's like, oh, our village is being attacked and we need somebody to save it. And then at the end of the episode, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's just great to see because we were talking about this episode and it had everything you know and love. If you're an anime watcher and a gamer, like we're both pretty big gamers as well. And you'll notice everything. Everything was random encounters, like Dan was saying. You've got your foot on quest because you don't want to fly because the air is too heavy, so you got to just walk around the village to village. You got to find the shop to get all the power-ups that we just said. You got to find the cool flying accessories to get there, like your flying ship in Final Fantasy, right? You have to do the main thing on foot, and then you open up the world a little bit more, and then it gets your flying apparatus.
We even have seeds planted, it seems, for the betrayal arc for Glorio Solo, because we were on a quest to get Dende back, but now we have learned, and as you can see, we have not 7 Dragon Balls on the table.
Right.
But 3.
Yeah, we have 3 Dragon Balls. Now, why is that, Dan?
Well, the reason, Kevin, if you will, is that in the demon world, there are only 3 Dragon Balls.
Shocker, right? I did not think that was going to be a plot point, but it is, right?
It is, yeah. 1 for each world, because as we know, there are 3 demon worlds, and they are each guarded by a Kamen Rider-esque person.
Tamagami,
yeah.
Or we like to say Tamagotchis.
Yeah,
throwback.
They're guarded by Tamagotchis.
Tamagotchis, cute little creatures you feed to grow and raise.
Yeah, and Goku had the random idea. It's like, oh, why don't we just collect all these Dragon Balls? And Glorio kind of had this like really sus smirk to him when he suggested that. And it's like, oh, okay, we know that Glorio is working for someone else. This kind of feels like we're setting up a betrayal arc.
Well, let's be real, guys. Dragon Ball is not known for subtlety, right?
No,
it's not. So they have this moment in the middle of the episode, and we are, like I said, we are side questing ourselves. We're jumping around. We're not going in any specific order. We are just free balling straight after the show and just going to put out our thoughts and our voice and what we're thinking. And in this part of the episode, near the end, Glorio and Supreme Kai have a kind of exchange, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's one of those silhouette-esque dun 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 little smirk, like you just said, and then it cuts to Kai, who's like, I don't know, you shifty bastard kind of look,
Yeah, I mean, Kaioshin's definitely feeling it. He's like, he hasn't trusted this guy from the beginning.
Right.
And he's been kind of, subtly kind of asking him like, what did you do in the first demon world?
Just worked at the palace auto shop.
Right.
Who knows? But
sold hummus,
sold hummus.
whatever, yeah. So I mean, so we do have that. I mean, it doesn't feel that subtle, or maybe it's something, maybe it's something even heretofore unseen, where because we don't know exactly who he's working for and why. But he also could be trying to betray that person.
Exactly.
He could be working for his own ends. Maybe he has like a sick sister or something, like I'm just thinking of what the JRPG plot was. It's my sister is like a slave to the palace. And so I was ordered by the king to betray you. But actually I need the Dragon Balls so I can become the king to save my sister or something like that.
I mean, that seems like a more feasible kind of like twist that I could see that happening for sure. Yeah. I could see I don't know I can't remember her name, not Chatty, the new character, but the Goma's henchwoman, the scientist. I could see Glorio being related to her or something like that, and him trying to be freed from Goma's hold or whatever. I don't know. I'm just kind of shooting off the cuff here.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. We have this female character that's sort of just out and about causing chaos, doing something. We have no idea who she is or where she is or what she's doing.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, that's the title of the episode is Chatty, So later on in the episode, after we go through a couple cool side quests and just a couple cool reminiscent moments, Dragon Ball-esque moments, which we'll hit in a second here, we meet Chatty. And I was always wondering, in the trailers, you saw this masked character with a hood on, silhouette, very much like a Kylo Ren-esque mini Kylo Ren.
And all the promo materials, and in the intro, we see her unmasked with the crew too. So we've been kind of waiting for her intro.
We've been waiting for intro, and it was very much Goku has to stand up, save her. But she's fighting against. Oh yeah, let's just break down this crazy village scene for a second. This is kind of wild. What happens there?
Yeah, so we do have a JRPG-esque thing where the military police of the first demon world are creating a new tax on all of the citizens, where they have to pay 3 coins each, or like for a total of 9 3 coins each, I guess, which is something that not a lot of people have. And if they can't do it, for each coin they can't pay, they have to forfeit 3 years of their life. Which is like sucked out of them with like a gas station pump.
That was pretty cool.
Thing.
I really enjoyed that part. I was like, for as simple as this show is, and just it's lighthearted and fun. So don't get, we're not here to do hardcore DBZ and I was like, oh, this. This is just a really fun show. But in this moment, it's a creativity that I love. It's creativity. Yeah. So they have the machine that you were just mentioning on. They stick this suctioner, this life suctioner in the back of their head, like a gas pump, like you said.
Right.
And it filters lives of into a lava lamp. It filters years of their lives into lava lamps and big life bubbles. So pretty interesting concept there.
Yeah, very creative. I mean, and like you just touched on this, but this is unlike any Dragon Ball that has come before it. A lot of people, like right now, we notice from the content that's out there and also people who are engaging with us that there seems to be like a huge divide in the fandom about this show. And I get it, because optics-wise, there are a lot of similarities with GT, just in the plot of them all turning back into kids and stuff like that, and this random adventure. But I would say that this show has more in common with Dragon Ball than GT. But even then, it has more in common with a Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest game than any Dragon Ball that's come before it. It's all adventure. It's really like, there are 2 Dragon Balls. There's like tournaments and power-ups and transformations, and then there's adventure. Yeah. And this is going full tilt into the latter in a way that hasn't been done, frankly, since I would say Goku met Bulma. Yeah,
and for us, that's a huge thing because we are super huge fans of original Dragon Ball. I love it. I think, God, I mean, there are times when I'm like, man, you could go back and it's timeless. Dragon Ball is timeless. You can watch it over and over and over again. Once you get to Krillin and Master Roshi training together with Goku.
Oh, that's the best stuff.
It's the best stuff. And then it just gets better and better. And they add the arcs, and then you get the Red Ribbon Army arc, and then you get, the martial arts tournament arcs, and then you get the Piccolo Daima arc. And you're like, wow, it really has a lot of growth and just development in that world. They build the hell of that world. And this is why I think if we're thinking from a critical perspective on this episode, I could easily say, oh, okay, this is like an easy kiddie, JRPG. let's just see what's going on. Let's go one beat to the next beat to the next beat, have a fight, and be over with it, right? We could toss it away in that bin if we didn't care so much.
Yeah, because there is some fluff.
Yeah, there's some fluff.
Like I could see people who are like, why wasn't Moro ever animated? Why wasn't Granola ever animated? Looking at this and being like, God, like I don't want to watch 30 minutes of them just talking about like, oh, like what's this? And like also, you know, all late stage Dragon Ball stuff has this problem where like the world building kind of falls apart a little bit because we establish in this episode that Glorio can fly, but he also doesn't know what ki is.
Right.
And you use ki to fly.
Yeah.
We know this because Gohan teaches Videl how to use her ki so she can fly. Goku learns Bukujitsu from Kami. That's how he learns how to fly. And it's controlling your ki so you can fly. So how the hell can you fly if you don't know what ki is? Like it just, that stuff makes no sense. But
different translation, different world, different demon realm.
But what is sustaining me through this? It's not the story yet. I'm willing to give the show a lot of grace with the story.
Me too. That's the point I was trying to make. Is that I almost have unlimited runway for this show, like just because I love the adventures. Now, back to your point. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you didn't interrupt at all. Like we're flowing, baby. Yeah. So the thing that is sustaining me though, and like I talk about it in our shorts, is like just how beautiful the show looks. Yeah. Like the character designs, like the Katsuru like late stage Toriyama designs just look so freaking good. The colors of this world, you know, that's like between like Tatooine and like the world of Ruin from Final Fantasy VI.
Exactly.
Almost and stuff. And just like the battle animation, like this episode had some of the best animation like since Dragon Ball Super Broly. Just little things like when Goku dashes with the Nyoibo at the people and starts fighting with them and stuff like that. It's like, it looks so freaking good.
I mean, it's up there with like, you know, in a way, like the market scene from Aladdin when Goku is fighting the guards in this episode. He does like this, you know, he parkours from building to building in between this alley, and it's just some really great animation and his flips. He pulled his Noibo out, and it's just great to see it. It's good animation.
One jump ahead of the bread line.
It totally reminded me of Aladdin, right? He totally did some Aladdin stuff, but it works, and it's fun to watch, and it's exciting. I mean, it's like I was like, okay, this is actually pretty damn cool.
And you know, when we talk about how this is like a JRPG, we can't ignore the fact that perhaps Dragon Ball was like a JRPG.
Very much like a JRPG.
The original. I mean, before you get to that growth stuff, before you get to Krillin and Master Roshi, just the adventure aspect of the show, but even beyond that. I mean, when you look at all the anime that have come after that have done really well, like Hunter x Hunter has like a huge cult fan base, and the author of that has like famously said like, oh yeah, that like I just love playing JRPGs. I love the world building, which is why that show arc to arc just completely switches what it's about. And Dragon Ball kind of did that a little bit too, while just keeping Goku as the through line through it all.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point there, because we opened the show talking, you know, mentioning JRPGs, and I just think it's cool to talk a little bit about the influence of JRPGs on anime and anime's influence on JRPGs. Like, there's a lot to talk about here, because, you know, remember, gaming originated in Japan, and that's, you know, Nintendo. That's where it all came from. Atari. Everything started from Japan. And JRPGs, they are since day one. You know, Legend of Zelda is one of the earliest ones that people have fond memories about, but it just goes from there into Final Fantasy. And like, you know, I'm a huge JRPG guy. I'm playing the new Final Fantasy Rebirth right now. It's been out for a while, but I'm playing it now.
The Pixel remaster? It's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah, Rebirth. The second one in the Final Fantasy Rebuild series on PS5, which I love. I'm having a hell of a time on that. But I've just always been fascinated because I like these kind of worlds like Dragon Ball is building. But we know that Akira Toriyama had a close connection with JRPGs, just because, maybe not plot-wise or storyline, but just because he did character designs for Dragon Quest. He was
Chrono Trigger.
And Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana. Yeah. So he had, you know, and more. You know, and you know, it's just, you can see his influence everywhere. So maybe, just like he's influenced, there's a lot of other series that have been influenced by it. I mean...
Right. And I think there's a famous photo, and I'm not going to say this for sure because I don't want to get this wrong, but there's a photo of him playing a game with his son. And I forget what game it was, but my memory wants to tell me that it is a JRPG. And this was like in the late 80s, early 90s, at like the peak of Dragon Ball Z's popularity in the manga. and he's playing this game with his son. And I just from reading like, sort of the author notes at the end of Tankobon, like it seems like a lot of mangaka in particular, they play JRPGs as sort of their downtime because it's like easy story to consume, and not a lot of like. And like the combat is more like thinky than like reacty, where it's like, okay, like I have to think about if I'm going to use a spell or attack or defend or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's cool to just talk about the history of the influence here because, 20, 30 years ago in the anime world, time warp going in the back.
Yeah,
you had your series like the Robotechs, your Gundams, your Captain Harlock, your space fantasies. You had your ground world action adventure shows, giant mech robot shows, but like they're all kind of their own original thing. And I think you'll see because of the popularity and increase in gaming in just society in general, not just in Japan, but it's just one of the biggest growing businesses in the world, hands down. E-gaming is a huge thing now. But now you're starting to see animes that are original animes inspired by gaming and JRPGs.
Right. Well, we've seen that. I mean, like an early example would be the Street Fighter 2 movie from the 90s, which was made concurrently with the US Van Damme movie. They kind of did their own. But I mean, even now, like Persona 5 has an anime.
Exactly. But see, that was different though, because Street Fighter was a game first.
Exactly.
So what we're seeing now, and we've seen a lot of, we see Castlevania is now a huge anime series on Netflix, right? But that was originally a game first, and you'll see a lot of that. Final Fantasy game first made an anime series and a couple like CG movies as well. But
Spirits Within,
and then you just look at that and say, okay, there's tons of animes that have been inspired by original RPGs in Japan, but now you're seeing a trend of creators that grew up in our era, our age, that played games, and now original animes are just inspired by games.
True. Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online is one.
The time I was reincarnated as a slime.
Exactly.
How to pick up girls in a dungeon.
Exactly. Persona.
Yeah. All that. Yeah. I mean, it definitely like, I feel like there is a very, obvious convergence point. Like that Japanese gaming and anime are kind of a double helix of one kind of storytelling. And definitely as we've moved more towards a digital age, that cross-pollination has cross-pollination has like even just grown.
The line has blurred a little bit. And there's parts of me that like, that I have mixed feelings. There's a part of me that like loves the idea that they're showing their love for gaming in series, but I also kind of like the independent vibes, like their own kind of thing too.
Right.
But I mean, like, you have like the Record of Lotus Wars back in the day, which is like a very much a Final Fantasy-esque fantasy adventure.
Right. Yeah.
Or you have gosh, what was the other one I'm thinking about here?
Bastard?
Yeah, you have the Bastard, but that one's less relatable for gaming. But you'll see. Oh, Slayer. I'm a big fan of Slayer's that anime series back in the day. If you haven't seen Slayer's, watch it. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorites. But
well, the model has just changed so much because back then you could sell videotapes and you could recoup the cost of the animation versus now. You can't really do that. And during the time when actually purchasing videotapes was a viable means of, revenue for anime creators, you had this OVA boom where people were just making like the most weird shit out there. And that stuff just isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Like I remember like movies like or OVAs like Psycho Diver or Biohunter and stuff like that. And these things are like horrific because they couldn't be shown in theaters. They couldn't be shown on TV. Mm-hmm. The only place you could show them was like on a videotape. So they were made for that. But the exploration and like sort of the weird craziness that was explored with those things is something that has been lost to time because we only have like a streaming model now or a theater model, which is even that's losing revenue because less people are going to the theaters. Yeah. So
I mean, just the other day, and we were side tangent, that's what we do. I saw this insane AI video of a Legend of Zelda game, like a remake. I'll try to do a clip of this. And
is it one of those ones where it's like if it were like made in the 80s or like a 50s?
It was insane. I was like, oh man, that was scary because I'm not a supporter of AI at all. I'm an artist. You're an artist. You're a writer as well. And it's just to see that affecting. To see such a good-looking AI created like trailer for a show that a movie they made like Legend of Zelda, like I was like, that's the first time I saw anything AI said I was like, in my head, I was like, dude, I'd pay to see it. I'd pay to see it. I know, I hate to say it, but I was like, that looks pretty dope.
Well, here's the thing. I have a very dystopian prediction about this AI stuff, which scares me, like, as somebody who writes. But I feel like at the rate that it's evolving, assuming that it that people have concerns about becoming malicious or becoming harmful to humanity or whatever. But I think that what we may have even in our lifetime is the ability for, like, because we're already doing things like Neuralink and like brain scanning and imaging and stuff like that. That AI will be able to create for us individually, like, the perfect movie or show for us.
Yeah.
They will push every single button in terms of what we want from story, what we want from visual, what we want from this, what we want that. Like, you could even, like, give it a prompt. Like, I want a cyberpunk story like The Matrix, but I want it to have Highlander-esque themes or whatever. And I want to feel these feelings. The feelings that I'm feeling right now as I remember watching Guyver as a kid or watching Ronin Warriors or something like that. Like, I want to feel these things, but like times 10 or something like that. And it just like reads you, like, it takes a couple days and then boom, it like creates like a perfect movie for you. I mean, that could happen. That might sound out there, but but this isn't an AI podcast. This is a Dragon Ball Daima podcast.
Yeah, and I was going to say, so we were just basically talking about the fusion and the melding of the gaming into anime storytelling. And I think we just think that Dragon Ball Daima is a great run on a Japanese RPG.
And it is Toriyama's final work after decades of working on JRPGs.
Yeah.
I don't think he worked on them from a narrative perspective.
That's what I remember.
But obviously, like, you can't help but when you're in pre-production designing characters and people are telling you, like, oh, this character is like for this purpose and blah blah blah, and he probably played the game. I just remembered the game that he is playing with his kid is Chrono Trigger, I think. Don't quote me, damn it, because sometimes I get this stuff wrong on the pod.
One of my favorites.
Which he helped work on. And it's like, you got to think, like, oh man, I was in pre-production on all this stuff. Now I'm playing the story. That's money in the bank for what your narrative sensibilities are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much DNA in there from Japanese gaming that it's if you are a gamer like we are, we really enjoy that. And the good thing is we got to keep reminding ourselves, for the people that are like, I don't know, man, this is soft, or it's just too adventure of the week kind of series form and not as much Dragon Ball Z. You got to remember, this is the 40th anniversary kind of show made to celebrate all of Dragon Ball from the original.
Right.
And we know that Toriyama has a great affinity for his original Dragon Ball, because all those characters play big parts in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, and they're brought up and even now different realms like the Demon Realm, I mean, heck, one plot point I think we didn't even mention today, that we did find out that the Demon Realm Magic Balls are the original Dragon Balls.
Oh yeah, they're the original. Which that was a story thing that I didn't like, because I'm like, wait, but we know that there's like a god dragon,
right?
And like, is it Zeno? Oh, Zeno,
and Super.
Yeah, so the Demon Dragon Balls precede the god of all the universes, like the multiverse, his Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
Like, I thought those were the original Dragon Balls. I mean, yeah, every time world building is put into Dragon Ball, it just kind of screws up the continuity.
There's a little bit of retconning and side conning and just little segues and adjacencies here and there.
Right.
But you know what? The good thing about Dragon Ball and these series is that they might not be perfect explanations for it, but 10 years, 20 years down the line, they're going to explain that to you and make it make sense. They're good at kind of weaving it back.
I mean, it is 40 years old at this point. Yeah. It's like a soap opera where it's like, in 1 week, like, there will be two characters that are toddlers, and the next week they'll be full-on teenagers and no one cares. Yeah. It's like, yeah, these guys were always teenagers. Yeah, like, what are you talking about?
And Trunks, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, but, yeah, the story is unfolding very, very slowly.
I mean, it's 20 episodes long, right? Let's give it's going to be a whole
20 episodes long, yeah. So they are taking their time. I hope that with the introduction of Chatty, we're going to find, I mean, we got to start getting to like Dragon Ball acquisitions soon.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's going to be a season 2 of this show with Toriyama's passing, if there were plans for it. But if it does like a House of Dragons thing where like they get one Dragon Ball at the end of this season, I think I will be pretty pissed off.
No, I have a feeling that once we get to episode 5, 7, but even before 10, like we're going to kind of see this figure. They're painting a picture right now right? It's a little blurry what exactly they're going for, but we have a good idea that I think it's going to be like a one season kind of deal.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay.
But so let's just talk about overall feelings and reactions. Okay. If you had to grade this episode, what number of grade are you going to give it?
Give it an A+ for animation.
Okay.
I'd give it a strong C+ on story.
I'm with you there. I would give it like an A- on animation because I think sometimes the villains aren't as, all the main characters, and this is any anime basically you're going to see, is that they're going to get a little more love and care than the bad guys of the episode,
Yeah, totally.
But that's my only reason why. But I'll give it like an A- on the animation. But I agree with you. Solid C+. They're just doing a little bit of seeding the ground, a little bit of laying the plot work out, not really going too deep into where they're going to go. But it's unfolding, and it's going to be a lot bigger world than I think we all originally thought it would be, though. That's a fact, right?
I think so, for sure. Yeah, 100%. I think that now that we're on a quest for Dragon Balls rather than a quest for Dende, which is pragmatically makes the most sense. I mean, even Glorio's like, yeah, what if they just kill Dende and this quest is for naught? But I mean, also too, because he's got something brewing.
But go. Well, let me interject 1 second. It was kind of an interesting plot point, though. Like, let's be real. When Goku mentions, let's just get the Dragon Balls, get grown up, and then go save Dende. I'm like, dude, his life could be in peril. He could be tortured right now. You don't know what they're doing to Dende. And he's like, he can wait. We're just going to get ourselves big first and then go save Dende.
Right.
Like, I mean, I get why, because you want to have all your powers and abilities that you had as an adult. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I was like, your guardian of your planet is like possibly in a dungeon cell being tortured.
Yeah, I mean, like the idea that Glorio lost his means of transportation too, with his plane being destroyed or stolen or whatever, and the fact that they can't fly indefinitely because the gas in the air is too thick and stuff like that. Like, these are good excuses for why they have to travel slowly.
Yeah,
like this is good stuff. Like, this is fine, because otherwise it's like, yeah, why don't they just like fly everywhere?
Yeah, and it was cool that they used like the flying projectile. What was it called? The sky seed. It's like, it looks like a cotton swab or like a dandelion or something. Not a dandelion, but what are those things you blow and
I
little leaves.
think that's a dandelion.
Dandelion, is that dandelion? Okay,
I think so.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think dandelions are yellow.
You're right. Wait, no, daisies are yellow. Right?
Daisies. Okay, maybe it is. I don't remember. But those things that you blow and the seeds go everywhere. It was very reminiscent
This
of that.
isn't a flower podcast.
It's not a flower podcast.
Obviously, the nerdy jocks are not, florists.
Yeah, I need to go back to herbology school in Harry Potter Wizarding World. But anyways.
Yeah.
I think that I'm excited to see where it goes. Even if the plot's not the best, just the fact that they add some really cool creative ideas to the show, that's what anime's about, right? Just letting your imagination run free and wild. And that's kind of what this show is about. Let's go on a wild adventure and see what happens. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. I think that right now, I've noticed too, like, one last note, because I was talking about sort of the divide for people who want more super versus people who are like never Daima, because they're like, screw it, I want more super. I've noticed too in a lot of discussions, like, people will post a picture of a Tadayoshi Yamamuro design from Super, which a lot of people who care about the animation, the character designs, hate that design. They hate it. It's like, it's too blocky. It just looks weird. Like, it's hard to animate, versus like the beautiful, like, sort of Nakatsuru design of Goku and Daima, and everybody votes for Super. And I'm like, I realized two things with that. That one, not everybody cares as much about animation as I do, or even notices it. And two, people will project whatever they want onto the thing that they like the most, which tends to be the direction of the story.
Right.
People who want tournaments and transformations and like stronger and stronger opponents, so that Goku has to go like, I don't know, Super Saiyan like 7 or whatever, like in the future, and like nothing wrong with that at all. It's like they're going to overlook the bad animation and character designs of Super, much like people like me who are like cool with the adventure, cool with that, are going to overlook like the story in favor of the animation. That's sort of like the opposite end of that.
Yeah, and there's people like me who just want both.
Yeah,
I love my Daima. It's in its own little separate world. It's in the demon realm, and also I'm excited for Super. Like, I really do want to see those next 3 arcs that we haven't seen yet. Like, that would get me stoked, because those do remind me of like the transition between the Frieza saga into the Cell and Boo saga, where it's just all kinds of crazy, cool, interesting characters and matchups and fights that I want to see as well. But it's good that we can just take a hiatus. We can relax. We can catch up on our Dan. We can catch up on Ranma 1/2, all the other animes, the Psycho Passes, whatever we're watching right now. We can catch up on all that and just take a break and enjoy the world of Dragon Ball Daima.
Right. And I think that one thing all fans would agree on is if we do get more Super, which I think we will.
Fingers
we have
crossed,
to.
we must.
Like, please let it be this animation team that does it.
It has to, well, in my opinion now, I think the expectations set in the Tournament of Power is that once you go there, you really can't go back. You can't go back.
Oh no,
we
Tournament of Power was beautiful. Yeah,
exactly. And that was like the last arc that they animated for Super. So I think just like One Piece and all the other top animes right now, like once you set the bar, you can't go back without the fans crying sheep or what I don't know, just getting pissed off at the bad animation. Because Super started on shaky ground, but it finally got better to the point where they've found a good rhythm. They found the best character designs. It looks great at the end of Super. I'm like, that's where we need to stay.
It suffered mainly from its schedule, which I think that it was so derisive even within the Japanese animation community that Toei was like never again.
Yeah,
like that's why they gave Daima 2 years to develop.
And that's probably why they're taking their time right now in Super. That's what I say, people. Just relax, hold tight. It's gonna be there. Catch up on the Sparking Zero, because once we get it, it's going to be gorgeous. Because the manga looks sick. So if they can animate that as good as they did the Tournament of Power, then we're going to go up that next top tier anime.
And that's why I haven't read the manga. I mean, as much as I would like to know what everyone's talking about in the fandom, the Tournament of Power was so awesome. It was so awesome to see that with no like context from a manga going in. I was like, I want to see Moro and Granola in that style or better, know. No disrespect to the gentleman who's writing and drawing the manga and stuff like that. I forget his name. Toyotaro, that's right. Yeah, like he's doing a bang up job from what I hear in some cases. But I just want to see like the full power of Toei's animation behind those next Super arcs. And hopefully we get it after Daima. Hopefully they're working on that right now that Daima's out. Yeah.
I think that's my sneaky suspicion, or I'm hoping it. I mean, hell, One Piece is taking a pretty extended break for the next couple of months until I think February, March of next year. So they're taking a hiatus, which is a first for One Piece.
Yeah, they're switching to a season model now.
Yeah.
For the first time in like 20, 30 years or whatever, they're like, it's not going to be a year-round thing. There's going to be no filler.
Yeah.
I think they're getting scared because I don't know if it's Wit or whoever, they're doing the full remake of One Piece with better animation. They're like, oh God, like they're going to have better pacing.
Yeah.
We can't just be the bad pacing show anymore,
Yeah. I'm here for it. I need to make, before we wrap this pod up, I need to make one more comment. I was thinking earlier, I forgot to mention that we were talking about JRPGs and heavy influence in original animes. You look at Jujutsu Kaisen, JJK.
Oh yeah, totally.
Huge. I mean, the domain expansions are literally going into a random battle on like Final Fantasy VII. It's completely one-to-one comparison. I know it was a complete side thought, but I just wanted to mention that was also influenced heavily by Japanese RPGs. And that was original story.
Right. Yeah, the cross-pollination, it's inescapable. I mean, it's
part of culture now.
Japanese gaming and anime, they are a double helix that tell a certain kind of story in a certain kind of way. And I mean, especially now that majority of the creators are people who grew up with video games and were influenced by them. I mean, like certainly original stuff that I've written, it's like I can't escape the impact that Final Fantasy VII, the first time I played it, had on me, or Metal Gear Solid, or any of those games. It's like those games are so a part of the DNA of like how I think about story and all that stuff. It's because it's like that's the stories that we consume, So
I mean, I haven't checked out the new Tomb Raider anime or Netflix show. I don't know if it's
awful.
Is it bad?
It's terrible.
I love it. I'm a Tomb Raider fan from back. I'm an OG.
I'll just talk about that really quick. Yeah, Lara Croft was a dope character. Right. She was like a James Bond-esque sort of devil-may-care adventurer. Right. She just liked adventure and stuff like that. And now you have this character in this show that's just brooding and upset and has like a dark past that we constantly have to look at. It's kind of like that new movie that had Vikander, was
Alicia Vikander,
Alicia
the Tomb
Vikander,
Raider.
like player. Yeah, it's like where it's like kind of brooding and stuff like that. It's like that's not what you want from a Lara Croft. I mean, that was sort of my problem with like the last James Bond movies too. It's like I don't really want a brooding, sad Bond. I want a swashbuckling like cocksure Bond. You could do like one movie. I mean, there was the one what was it, Skyfall, where he defends his farm in England or in
that's
Scotland.
like one of the best of all time.
That was great.
It's one of my favorites. I'm a huge Bond guy, by the way, so I might even do a adjacent pod, film buff pod, where we start talking about like live action film and cinema.
Right.
And we're definitely gonna do a series on 007 because I'm a huge James Bond guy. So.
And I always hesitate to sort of crap on other people's writing because I get how hard writing is and stuff like that. And I get that for a lot of writers, there's also sort of top-down pressure from, the powers that be or the IP owners of like how this is supposed to be or whatever. But like I feel like the failure of the Tomb Raider show on Netflix is a failure to understand what made Lara Croft appealing as a character outside of people's physical attraction to her polygon body or whatever. But there was something compelling about that character, which is completely absent. It's like we have this weird conceit now where it's like in order for like a character to be strong, they have to be brooding and like have a dark past and stuff like that. It's like save that shit for Batman.
Yeah, leave that to Batman.
Yeah, leave it to Daredevil, leave it to Batman. I mean, even with Daredevil, like my favorite run on Daredevil was Mark Waid, where he finally kind of got away from that. It's like, no, Daredevil's like a fun adventurer again and stuff like that. We don't need all this like Frank Miller, Brubaker stuff anymore, but that's neither here nor there. I do not recommend Tomb Raider.
Okay, well, I haven't checked it out, but I am. We are watching some other series. So speaking of other series, if you're not watching the other shows now, we have a continuous pod right now called What We're Watching Pod. We're doing Ranma 1/2 right now. We're doing Dan to Dan, which is a vibe, by the way.
For those of you who don't know, we're talking the Ranma 1/2 2024 remake. Yeah, on Netflix. Streaming every Saturday in the United States.
But we're still strong supporters of the original, but we are talking about the new remake on Netflix, which you can catch right now. Two other things to mention too. So check that out on our pod. If you want to catch up on our old Dragon Ball Z pods from the Saiyan Saga to the Frieza Saga, we got that online, all of that. We also did season 1 of JJK, which is an interesting riot. So check those out if you're interested in checking some of our backlog because they're available for you to view. Also, one more note about Dragon Ball Daima. If you haven't got tickets yet, guys, Fathom Events is hosting Dragon Ball Daima in theaters.
That's right.
This first November, I think it's November 11th, 12th, and maybe 13th. I'll have it on here on the green screen to remind you guys, but I think we're going to try to see it. I can't make any promises yet, but I think we're going to do a live action, see how it looks on the big screen. Because that first episode, just with the Boo Saga recap, is I think worth $20 right there.
I think it's the first 3 and they're dubbed, right?
Yeah, they're dubbed.
That's what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, like the dub's coming out not concurrently, but like not too forestalled either. I mean, if it's going to be like 7 episodes behind, that's not the worst thing in the world.
That's not too bad. But I don't care about the dubs. I'm more of a subbed guy. But it will be interesting to see the American voice actors back at work.
For sure, especially Stephanie back as Goku. Woo! Yeah, so it's going to be great. And we're going to be here every week with you guys, watching Dragon Ball Daima, reacting to it.
We're going to get chatty.
We're going to get chatty.
So
if you're not already subscribed, please smash the subscribe button. Check out our other content and join us on our What We're Watching podcast if you're into Ranma, Psycho Pass, Dan to Dan, Kenshin. We're also covering too the Kenshin remake. So we'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining us again here at Nerdy Jock, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Nice.